The Department of Justice will release details of the lawsuit expected to be filed against Sheriff Joe Arpaio and his department.
Yeah, and Javier Soto's been taking a closer look at this. What's been really interesting is this detailed overhaul of the agency, or at least a proposal to do so.
Yeah, and according to the Sheriff's Department, the sheriff himself, they have been working on this for some time. Is it coincidental in talking about the timing? Well, who knows? But what we do know is the Maricopa County Sheriff Joe Arpaio plans to overhaul his department in an effort to improve operations. Yesterday, he released details of what he's calling the first phase. You might recall, back in December, the DOJ accused Sheriff Arpaio's agency of widespread discrimination against Latinos in the department's patrol and jail facilities. Initially, the sheriff agreed to work with the department to fix some of those problems, but a day before they were expected to meet, the sheriff canceled, saying he didn't like the federal government adding someone to monitor his operations. Then yesterday, the sheriff released an 18-page document of how his department will be overhauled to focus on community outreach, accountability within the agency, and transparency now in how the office conducts its day-to-day operations. Here are some of the main points. To enhance policies, procedures, training, and communication, to ensure bias-free law enforcement, to maintain safety and security, also community outreach, internal integrity, and public feedback, and then better record keeping.
I have complete confidence in my organization. It's a very professional organization. I believe in my dedicated employees. They have a tough job to do, and I am not going to surrender the office of the elected sheriff to be taken over by the federal government.
The Department of Justice is expected to announce details of their lawsuit, not only against the Sheriff's Department, but also Maricopa County and Sheriff Joe Arpaio himself.
Discriminatory and unconstitutional. That's how the Department of Justice describes the law enforcement practices of Maricopa County Sheriff Joe Arpaio in a federal lawsuit filed today. And as Stacey Delicat shows us, the DOJ has only filed a suit like this once before. Stacey?
Yeah, Patty, Justice Department officials called this rare and extraordinary. They said they wanted to settle this out of court, but felt like there was no other choice. Meantime, the sheriff and his attorneys tonight say they question the timing of this and call it political.
But my patience is running out.
Sheriff Joe Arpaio firing back at the federal government after the Department of Justice sued him and his department for violating the rights of Latinos and retaliating against political foes, saying they had no other choice.
At its core, this is an abuse of power case involving a sheriff and a sheriff's office.
Among the allegations set forth in the DOJ's lawsuit, that Maricopa County detention officers use anti-Latino racial slurs in their jails, and that on one occasion, deputies pulled over a pregnant Latina woman and roughed her up.
The police are supposed to protect and serve our communities, not divide them.
The feds' claim is based on millions of pages of documents they had to sue to get, but Arpaio and his attorneys want specific proof.
At the end of the day, you're going to find that there's not going to be substance to this complaint by the Department of Justice.
We are not racist. We do not racial profile. There's no systemic proof.
Both sides were supposed to broker a deal outside of court, but those negotiations fell apart because of one sticking point, the implementation of an independent monitor and how much power he or she would have.
When you have problems that are as deeply rooted as they are here, it is simply a recipe for history further repeating itself to not have an independent monitor.
They want monitors. That's what they want. And that shows you that they want to take over this office.
Outside the sheriff's office today, Latino activists gathered to praise the federal lawsuit.
I feel vindication for my community.
But Arpaio says he's not worried about potential consequences.
I don't need this. Believe me, I can get elected on pink underwear.
But one potential implication of this lawsuit is that the county could lose some federal funding. As for how much this legal battle could cost Maricopa County, well, Supervisor Mary Rose Wilcox says the county has already put aside $40 million to cover the cost. Live outside the sheriff's office, Stacey Delicat, 3TV.